Welcome back. We are having our final conversation this morning, and it's all about the recently held World Sustainable Travel and Hospitality Awards Gala ceremony that was held in Spanish Lookout last Friday, held on World Tourism Day, might I add. And we have here with us representatives from the Ministry of Tourism to talk to us about what that event was like, and of course our achievements, walking away with some fabulous awards, but also the biggest award of the night, which was Belize being recognized as a World Sustainable Destination 2024. Joining us this morning is the CEO within the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations, Nicole Solano, and she is joined by the President of the Belize Hotel Association, Rinaldo Malik, and the Tourism and Financial Sustainability Director with TASA, Deloni Foreman. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And welcome and congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us this morning.
Absolutely. Now, before we go into these particular awards that Belize walked away with, perhaps we can talk about the lead up to Belize being identified as the host country for this award.
Well, it started back, I think it was 2022, when the minister was in Saudi Arabia and he had a chance to speak with the organizers of the World Travel Awards. Mm-hmm. It's a larger event, not just, they have several different types of awards that they do throughout the year that culminates in the World Travel Awards at the end of the year. So the discussion started, and our minister is always trying to find a way to put Belize on the map and,
yes,
and give us more prominence. So the discussion started, and the idea came about that we need to focus on what the tourism industry is doing for sustainable tourism and sustainability and achieving the sustainable development goals. So this was born.
Yes.
And what better place than to have it in Belize?
Absolutely. Now, the BTB is known to host their very own local award show, which recognizes tourism sectors or tourism businesses and local persons on the ground working in the industry. But how does our smaller award show measure against something like a world platform coming here?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been over 20 years that the BTB has been putting off the annual tourism awards, the National Tourism Awards, for the recognition of all of the people in Belize who are leading in different types of, different areas in tourism. But this is a little bit different because the categories, and there were 21 categories, the categories are the competition is global.
Yes.
It's not just Belize. So you're looking at people from around the world, and it kind of elevates everything because we're not looking at only Belize, but we're looking at the entire world.
Yeah, I want to bring Mr. Malik into the conversation. You were there at the event. What was your experience like and your takeaway from all that took place that night?
Well, for me, it was, I would say, similar to CEOs and the Minister and the Director of Tourism's experience, because I've been a part of the conversation for quite a bit. I got involved with the conversation in last year in Berlin, meeting the folks from the boat from. So I think it's worth saying that this is more than a awards organization. That organization is also working on building a set of prerequisites for tourism stakeholders globally to achieve a certain standard. Many properties in Belize have already moved off in that direction already, in terms of employing sustainability practices on your properties, in your resorts, or if you're a tour operator, etc., doing things like that. So it's more than awards. The awards is just kind of like the annual culmination, so to speak. So for me, having been involved with the conversation for some time and then seeing it come to fruition here in Belize, that in itself was an experience that it's unparalleled for me right now, no?
I think that night we heard a lot of interesting stories coming out the awardees from different countries in terms of how their water management, for example. Saw some interesting stories where that is concerned. Distillery, there's one distillery that caught my attention, some hotels and how they're doing things. What are some examples of how hotels in Belize may already be increasing their sustainability approach, or examples of things we can apply here in Belize where the hotels are concerned?
That's a really great question because it really speaks to why we won this award.
Yeah.
The minister said it in his welcome remarks Friday night that sustainability isn't a buzzword in Belize. It's the underpinning of our tourism industry. And when you look at our individual hotels, for instance, you have hotels who don't have plastic water bottles in their rooms anymore. They don't do straws. They don't do the usual plastic straws anymore. They'll give you water bottles instead and say, here's the water bottle, and this is a gift. Take this with you. Export the sustainability from off the property, from out of the country as well. We look at things like, say, a good example would be the ATM caves where there's a quota in terms of how many people go in, how many people go with a guide, and how many people for the day go into the cave, etc. So we've been doing sustainability forever.
Yeah.
Interestingly, 2024 makes 40 years that the Coxcomb Basin Jaguar Preserve was established. That's 40 years of conservation in that, I think it's like 150 square miles down there, right?
Before it became a catchword.
Before it became a catchword, exactly. The Barrier Reef was first put on the UNESCO list back in 1996, I think, CEO. So we didn't wake up last year and said, let's be the sustainable capital of the world. This is what we've been doing.
How is the demand driving these sustainable approaches in terms of tourist demands? Are more and more tourists coming to the locations and saying, we demand less plastic and we demand more sustainability in the locations that we decide to book our stays?
Well, it plays a significant role, and all the data from the big OTAs like Expedia, from Booking.com, all point towards that people, to use your words, demand a more experiential travel, and they're looking for destinations that embrace so being sustainable. And sustainability just doesn't mean not using plastic. Sustainability also means keeping up your cultural traditions and making sure that it's uplifted, one, and it's upheld for generations to come. So it stretches across a wide swath of influences in the country.
And we would have seen that in one of the awards that was given to Belize, Chail Mayan Chocolate, yes, exactly. Where, of course, that was seen in the preservation of culture through the cacao farming that they are so passionate about. Yes, and I have to say kudos to them, because this is a business, you know, that got recognized on a global stage.
Yeah, and travelers want to come and experience it, and they want to feel good that they're supporting this kind of thing. They want to ensure that their footprint is smaller, right, when they're traveling the world, and they want to feel responsible. So that's what we also give to the travelers when they come to Belize.
Yes.
Excellent. Now we also have with us Ms. Delone Foreman. Now,
I love that we're passing the trophy along to whomever speaks.
You're from TASA, and TASA was recognized, I have it here, all right, world's leading sustainable marine conservation initiative. Let's talk a bit about what this means to you all over there and the excellent work that you all do.
Well, good morning again, and thank you for having me here. For TASA to be recognized on the global stage is monumental for us. I think one of the first things it does is it really motivates our staff and reinforces the fact that we are leaders on a global scale. In whatever we're doing, it's marine conservation, but from the cleaner is a leader, from the accountant is a leader. We always think only about the field team, but it really reinforces that each and every one of us who is a part of TASA, we're leaders. Another thing I think that it does is it validates our our innovative approaches to conservation. I think all awards really validate the hard work and commitment that our team put in day and night, and putting our lives at risk at times, being out in such a remote destination. So that is one thing that I think it has helped us. It will help us to do. Another thing, I think that it will boost our credibility and visibility, and definitely I think this would lead to a potential increase in support from our donors and from our stakeholder community.
Yeah.
In what ways does the tourist or the tourism industry interact with the work you all do in conservation?
Well, we consider Turnif a sustainable travel destination, and it's world renowned for flats fishing. And so Turnif is a bucket list destination for flats fishers or fly fishers, and we have to capitalize on that. I think Turnif is still underrated, really. It's one of the most ecologically diverse coral atoll in the Western Hemisphere. And we need to do a better job at communicating that to the world and establish and reinforce our status as a sustainable travel destination. And I think TASA is well underway to leading that messaging to the world and ensuring that, when we think about sustainability too, we also have to ensure that that economic growth does not compromise the integrity of our environment. And that is why at TASA, our model is high value, low impact tourism.
I love that.
I want to also touch on perhaps the networking opportunities that were presented at this award gala, because there were so many other businesses and organizations that were recognized for the same values that we here have in Belize. Were there any discussions or potential opportunities that you guys walked away with?
No, well, all the time. Whenever you have people coming to Belize for the first time, I think you heard one of the persons go to the mic and say, I didn't know about Belize,
Yes.
until last week when I started to research where I needed to go, right? Yeah. So I think that really does help us as a destination and puts us on the map, right? Especially in markets that aren't familiar with Belize. And this is a global market. You asked about networking. I actually had somebody that came up to me that came to the awards that wants to have Belize engaged and involved in other types of sustainable initiatives globally, right? We tend to have relationships with those in our main markets and in our key markets, which is typically North America, but now we're talking about markets from around the world. So it really does open up a lot of opportunity for Belize and takes us to another level.
Yeah, on Friday night, just so it doesn't miss us, Belize was recognized as the 2024 World's Leading Sustainable Destination, correct? One would imagine it takes years and years of doing the right thing to get here. Yeah.
Yes, and I think Reynaldo was talking about some of what the hotels have been doing, the tour operators, our tour guides. I mean, these are the front line, the people who are on taking our guests on tours every single day and communicating to the world exactly what the priorities are for Belize and what our values are in terms of sustainability.
Yeah, and like Mr. Malik was saying, sustainability isn't only about reducing your plastic use, for example. What does sustainability mean in a broader sense? When you think about tour guides, when you think about destinations as well and tours, etc.
Well, piggybacking off of that and mentioning the tour guides, because I know that they have become champions at something that you wouldn't necessarily tie to sustainability, but in terms of our inability as a country, the general public, to stop littering. And tour guides have gone to the forefront of that and said, we'll be the people on the front line that keep a watch for this. And how does that play into the whole sustainability thing for the country? I give you an example. Somebody just asked me this over the weekend, so I have this one fresh. You know the cookie wrappers, when you open them up, the Gamesas or whatever the brand is,
Yes.
the inside is reflective. It blows out of a bus somewhere on one of the highways and blows off the side of the road. Now you're in the dry season, and that reflective wrapper captures the light from the sun and reflects it off into a very dry piece of vegetation, and now we have a fire. So now we have to wait 8 to 10 years for secondary growth to restore that vegetation in that particular area. So even when you don't think it's related, it is. Every single thing that we do is related to sustainability, to preserving what we have. Several of the ministers spoke at the award ceremony, as you would have heard, and emphasized the percentage of our land mass and our marine areas that we have protected. This is unparalleled in the world, to have those large chunks of your land of your country, of your territory, protected and under the protection of not just saying we don't do that, but it's under the protection of laws of the very constitution of the country. So nobody else is doing that, and we know this because we are always, like CEO said, approached by other countries, by other entities to ask, how are we doing this in terms of what was your thought process and who did you engage and how did you get it actually written into the laws, etc. So we are innovators in when it comes to sustainability.
And one would imagine that as the population grows and the demand for the product that Belize is and that Belize offers, this core, which is sustainability, must be maintained and could be under increasing threat if we don't continue to push this concept, correct? How do we long term, I mean sustainability is about long term,
right.
But how do we ensure that long term, as demand grows for this product, that core idea is not compromised?
Well, you have to keep that at the very, it's exactly that, keeping sustainability at the very core of any innovation that we do. So when we're thinking about what happens with the industry 10 years from now, 15 years, 20 years from now, that has to be, like I said earlier, the underpinning of everything that we think about.
Which is where our National Sustainable Tourism Master Plan comes in, right? So we actually have a plan. We have a direction that we want to go in order to maintain this. We talk about all the things that we're doing, but as Reynaldo rightfully said, we still have a lot of challenges, right? And we have to continue to be very, very real about what we have to do to continue in that direction. Not only for development, because balancing development and sustainability is always a challenge, right? You have to make sure that, I think for tourism, we're a long ways off from getting to the numbers that would consider us a mass tourism destination. So we have to plan accordingly, look to the future, and really focus in on what our key objectives are to maintain the sustainable tourism approach that we want to have.
All right, and for TASA, what can be expected of TASA moving forward now that you have high standards to maintain with this award, not that you weren't maintaining those high standards before?
That is true. There's a lot of surprises, I would say, in store for TASA. We will keep the media informed. We have quite a bit of innovative citizen science experiences that we're launching within the next month. I think that it will be the first for a marine protected area in Belize. And I think that will really kind of seal the deal for us when it comes to community engagement and visitor engagement with our marine protected area. There's a lot in store for the future of TASA. And I think that having such a young, passionate Belizean team who is dedicated to the work that we're doing on our mission, and having the collaboration that we do with our private stakeholders on the atoll too, is really something to look forward to in how we continue to innovate at Turniff.
Excellent.
Wonderful. This has been a fantastic conversation, guys. Again, a huge congratulations to the entire industry for the work that is being done, and of course what we can expect in the future. As we wrap up, I'll ask if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers.
Well, thanks again for having us. It's always good to be able to share what we're doing in the tourism industry, and we don't work alone, you know. It's a partnership. We have to work together with all of the individuals, everybody, all the stakeholders in the industry, public, private sector, NGOs. We come together, and that is what creates the amazing destination
Indeed.
that Belize is. So I just look forward to continuing the work, because we have a lot of work ahead.
All right.
I want to say thanks to those that came before us, that managed this sustainability process 40 years ago, right? That saw the need to do this, to protect our wildlife areas, to protect our marine areas, and just set it up for us to continue the work, because that's what we are right now. We, between the ministry, between organizations like the BHA and BTIA and TASA, we are just merely the instruments that are carrying on the job right now. There were those that came before us, we'd like to thank them, and then we'd like to say to those that come after us, the bar has been set.
Yes, it has.
Don't lower it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to take our final break, and when we come back, we wrap things up.